Hi viewers, in today's video we'll discuss about an interesting topic, Hughes syndrome or antiphospholipid antibody syndrome. It is a rare systemic autoimmune disease which is characterized by arterial and venous thrombosis and or recurrent pregnancy losses accompanied by increase in antiphospholipid antibodies. Antiphospholipid antibodies are heterogeneous group of autoantibodies directed against negatively charged phospholipid or phospholipid binding proteins. It is common in 1 in 5 people and is seen in elderly clients. It can be induced by infections or chronic infections, stress, malignancies and also due to drugs. Types of antiphospholipid antibodies include lupus anticoagulant, anticardiolipin antibodies, anti-beta 2 glycoprotein 1 antibodies, antibodies to phosphatidylserine, phosphatidyl ethanolamine, phosphatidyl inositol, phosphatidyl glycerol, phosphatidyl choline, and phosphatidic acid antibodies. Hughes syndrome can be divided into two types, that is primary and secondary. In primary, there is no involvement of connective tissues, whereas in secondary there is involvement of connective tissues as in SLE. How is this Hughes syndrome diagnosed? The diagnosis of Hughes syndrome is done by the presence of anti-2 beta glycoprotein 1 antibodies in 6 weeks and 12 weeks of pregnancy. There can also be vascular thrombosis and there may be one or more unexplained arterial, venous or small vessel thrombosis in any of the organs. The diagnosis can also be done with the mortality during pregnancy. If one or two unexplained death of a normal fetus above 10 weeks of gestation, one or more premature birth due to preeclampsia, eclampsia or placental insufficiency, there may be 3 or more spontaneous abortions with maternal, anatomical, hormonal and placental karyotype is excluded. Antiphospholipid is also responsible for implantation failure. So routine screening of antiphospholipids among women during IVF is also required. The complications during pregnancy include recurrent pregnancy losses, that is around 25% during the first trimester after the cardiac activity has been started. There may be preeclampsia in 15 to 50%, IUGR around 30% of pregnant mothers, preterm labors and also maternal thrombosis. The mechanisms involved include inhibition of trophoblastic function and differentiation. There may be local inflammatory response, that is activation of the complements at the maternal and fetal interfaces. In later pregnancy, there may be thrombosis of the uteroplacental vasculature. Postpartum syndrome is rarely seen and in case if present, the client usually has pulmonary disorders, fever, cardiac manifestations. The mechanism again is unknown and there may be extensive IMG and C3 depositions in the myocardium. Indications in obstetrics to test antiphospholipid antibodies include unexplained stillbirths, recurrent pregnancy losses, fetal death in the second and third trimesters, IUGR, preeclampsia and eclampsia, and placental abruptions. The non-obstetrical indications include false positive serological tests for syphilis, autoimmune diseases as SLE and thrombocytopenia, unexplained thrombosis, hemolytic anemia, stroke in between the age of 25 to 50 years and livedo reticularis. Management during the antenatal period is planned in two areas. One is previous thrombotic events and previous pregnancy losses. Preconceptional counseling includes reviewing of medical and obstetrical history and also assessing the other risk factors. Also confirm the persistent laboratory antiphospholipid values, assess the CBC and the HB level of the client. Once ruled out, postpone pregnancy if thrombotic events occur less than 6 months, and once the next pregnancy is planned, low dose heparin can be started to increase the success rates. The pregnancy outcome is 44% when started with low dose aspirin. It is 75% when corticosteroids are added with low dose aspirin. Heparin plus low dose aspirin gives a result of 80 to 85%, and low molecular weight heparin plus low dose aspirin gives an excellent result of 85 to 95%. Postpartum prophylaxis is started after 6 hours of vaginal delivery and 12 hours of LSCS. Heparin should be continued for 6 weeks during the postnatal period, and warfarin should be started 2 to 3 days later, and heparin is discontinued once the adequate INR is achieved. Oral contraceptives are usually avoided due to the risk of thrombosis. Low dose aspirin 75 to 150 mg per day or 300 mg twice weekly prevents the platelet aggregation. Warfarin inhibits the synthesis of vitamin K dependent clotting factors. Adverse drug reaction includes severe bleeding where vitamin K is started, but usually it takes 6 to 24 hours for the action, and immediately stop the drug and administer fresh frozen plasma. Later start with whole blood transfusion and keep monitoring the INR values. If the dose is more than 5 mg per day, it leads to fetal warfarin syndrome, where the baby presents with hyperplasia of nose, eye sockets, hand bones, and growth retardation. Hope this was a useful video. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more videos.